Hare Krishna. My name is Sankalpa Chaitanya Das. Some of you might know me as Shailendra Singh. I've been associated with ISKCON for a very long time, since I arrived here firstly in 1987. I have a background in engineering, electrical engineer, and I currently have a business that we run with my wife, Dr. Shobna Singh. Some of you may be aware of her. And we also have some business interests in developing construction, and I also have extensive background in problem solving and project management. The reason I'm talking to you today is about the proposal for a new temple in the west of Melbourne. As you may have seen, some of you may have seen, there's a petition, online petition going around to garner support for this proposal. For a number of years now, devotees have been, raising the need for another temple, another Hare Krishna temple in Melbourne. Our Melbourne temple in Albert Park is really too small now for the size of the congregation we have. Those of you who come to the festivals know how stressful it is just to get everyone through and have darshan of the deities, and it's always very limited time that we can spend. And there have been complaints from the neighbors, which is putting a lot of stress on the management of the temple. So I don't envy their situation right now. On one hand, we've got a small temple and a very, very large congregation. As I mentioned, a lot of devotees have raised the need for this for a long time. I myself have not really got into that discussion very much. I just didn't have the capacity to get involved. But recently, some very, very close friends of mine have become really upset about it, and have talked about potentially going outside of ISKCON and trying to set up a temple, which really for me is something I can't contemplate. I value what ISKCON offers us. The Hare Krishna way is a wonderful way to practice devotional service. It offers us lots of protection, very high standard of worship, and I can't see a reason why we should step out and do that. However, some feel inclined to do so, and I couldn't just sit around and just let that happen. So I've had a good relationship with the temple management for a long time now, and I offered my help. I have got skills, I believe, to deliver on a very extensive project to build a temple. So I formed a vision and shared with them. The vision included having a large block of land with a temple, with housing for congregation devotees to live in if they choose to. It would have a large prasadam hall, housing for the pujaris, etc. And these things would be developed over a period of time. The temple will probably be one of the last things that may eventually happen. The first thing is to secure land. Land in Melbourne is rising at an astronomical rate, and it is really no longer affordable for not-for-profit organizations to be able to do this sort of projects on their own. So I was able to bring in my own skills, but also our own investment to try and help put together something that would ultimately deliver a temple to ISKCON at no cost, at no debt. It'll be entirely funded either with a combination of the project, housing from the project, as well as fundraising through the community. Okay, we had a lot of discussion about this proposal. There was some acceptance in the early stages. Eventually, though, the decision was made that the temple could not support us on this venture at the moment, because the temple itself is facing a very, very significant challenge in just being able to run the organization as it stands now. You may have noticed recently a lot of our festivals are now being run away from the Melbourne Albert Park Centre, and they're being run in halls that we have to hire, which are very expensive. So the cost of running the temple is rising very fast, And it is understandable to me that why the temple executive may not want to get into this venture at this point in time. So we agreed that, you know, we would go separate ways for now. Whilst I accepted their decision, I do believe, I come from a different background. I've worked in a very brutal environment, in a manufacturing environment, right, for an overseas company. And, you know, there's a principle of just do it. You know, you can do more than one thing at once. It's all about how we manage it. I believe I have the skills to do it and bring that to the team. So I believe we could do this project. So we revised our proposal to go ahead and do the same, have the same vision, but this time it will be a temple that will be run independent of Melbourne Temple. It'll have its own management structure. It does do its own fundraising, etc. Okay, all the things that go with running a temple. That's not to say we would never communicate. We would collaborate at every opportunity possible. We're all part of the one family, and that would be our goal. So, so that's where we're proceeding with now, and that's what the petition is about. So to be able to do what we need to do, we have to go and get firstly approval within ISKCON. Okay, that is supposed to be the easy part, but it's proving, you know, there'll be a bit of a challenge with that because ISKCON has very high standards, and we need to be able to demonstrate that we can meet those standards and we can do things in a responsible way, in a mature way, that does not ultimately bring disrepute to the organization. And that's the process we're going through now. We are communicating with the GBC in Australia, and I'm hopeful that, you know, as long as we all have the same goals, we will achieve what we want to achieve. I don't get into these things lightly. I'm very determined. I believe management in whichever organization, whether it's ISKCON or outside ISKCON, where the real challenges will lie, the state and the local governments need to listen to the people. Okay, that's why the petition is very important. And ultimately, I believe they will. I've been very heartened by the feedback I've received. Whilst I launched the campaign, I haven't really done a lot about it myself, to be honest with you. The campaign has largely been a grassroots campaign. I've had people taking the initiative on themselves to get others to sign. I had a very nice discussion with a lady from the West. You know, she called me, she was just so moved by the fact that we were doing something. You know, she's a very staunch devotee of Krishna, but she's not able to come to the Melbourne temple very often, you know, due to some constraints they have. And when they do, it's always under a lot of pressure to be able to get in and out, have darshan of the deities and out within a minute or two, especially in major festival days. I know this myself because some of you may know, I help with, you know, the crowd control and the big festivals and the Rath Yatra festival as well. And I walk away from Janmashtami every year thinking, what have I done? Because I'm the one out there who's telling people to move on, you know, don't stand there, please. So many people are here. You know, it's heartbreaking to be able to do that because people come from very, very far distances. And if they only can have 1 or 2 minute darshan, it really breaks their heart to be able to do that, but we don't have a choice. We really don't have a choice. So I feel it really troubles me that I have to do that. But I believe by building a new temple, it will take the pressure off Melbourne Temple. Yeah, and you know, and it will be successful. You know, we have a congregation, but we haven't even started to tap into the potential that we have out there. If you think about the level of migration we have of Indians to Melbourne, it's enormous. There's so many of them are in the West. You know, they don't even know, many of them don't even know that there's a Hare Krishna temple here. You know, we have so many businesses run by Indians these days, very, very successful Indian businessmen. And I know a few of them myself. It's incredible. You know, I think if we can articulate our vision in a way that inspires people, I'm very confident that our proposal will be supported, and it will be done in a way that the Melbourne Temple's fundraising efforts, etc., are not compromised. I can tell you, many of us have grown up with the Radha Vallabha Temple, and no matter what goals we may have, building a new temple, for example, one thing we will not tolerate, we will not just stand by and see, is the Melbourne Temple suffer in any way. So we will be there if the need is there to help the temple, but we also just need to get this done, because if we don't do this, we will leave a horrible, horrible, horrible legacy for our future generation of devotees, that we did not have the foresight to build a temple in Melbourne, another temple in Melbourne. The reality is, as someone commented, we actually probably need 3 temples, 3 larger temples in Melbourne, a west, and one in the southeast, and one in the north. And I think if we can make a start on this successfully, the other temples, I'm sure, will eventually happen. There will be people who will be inspired to follow our formula and do something. It's important that we all get behind this and trying to make this happen, whilst also supporting the Melbourne Temple. I've also been asked about, there are other projects that currently that are being talked about, and what are the differences between those and ours, and it might also be other future projects that people might come up with. There are a few things to consider here. Our project here, the one that I'm leading, one of the key hard points is that it has to be, from the very beginning, an ISKCON approved temple. I'm not in the business of going to try and build a temple and then eventually come back later and try and get ISKCON approval. No. From my point, it's the harder fight to have, to try and get approval from the beginning, but I'd rather have that now. There are very good reasons for that. Srila Prabhupada has given us ISKCON, and there are a lot of good things that come with it, okay? We get, if you're part of the ISKCON temple, you get access to sannyasis who visit, okay? People who are initiated within one temple can go to another temple and practice. There's the whole discussion around the standard of worship, because if you're part of ISKCON, you maintain the standard of worship no matter where you are, okay? Over time, if you are separated from ISKCON, I'm concerned that those standards will drift. People will chant less. This has happened already in organizations who try to emulate ISKCON outside of ISKCON. So I'm not interested in that. I know my Guru Maharaj is not interested in something like this, and I would never ever agree to anything that he would not agree to. So for me, that's a key hard point. The other key consideration here is, we're not going to lock people into any financial decision until we fully understand the costs. For example, one part of the project will be to build housing. So there will be people who will want to buy housing on the block of land. Now, we are not asking anybody to lock anything in right now until we fully understand the cost. The challenge of developing land is very, very risky, okay? And development costs can be very high. And no one really knows that. We can have a guideline, but we don't really know for sure at the start. And it changes with time as well, depending on what the industry factors are driving. So I'm very clear about that. I'm putting my money in it. My wife is very supportive of that. And we will take those decisions later. So we don't want people to be sort of feel cheated in any way by my actions, okay? So that's another key consideration. The third thing is, I think it's very important. These are very complex projects. Okay, it requires a lot of skill, both about managing cost and timing. And timing, if you don't manage it properly is ultimately cost. Okay, so ultimately it's all about cost in one sense. So it's very important that whoever's managing these projects has got proven skills to be able to do this and do it effectively. Okay, I believe I do. I've worked in, as I said, worked in environments where I've managed very, very large sums of money, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects, and I have got the skills. And I'm hoping that, that I can bring those skills to this project and deliver it in a way that people feel we've done something worthwhile. And I guess a couple of last points. The discussion right now is about getting ISKCON approval. As I said, this is meant to be the easy part. But beyond that, we've got significant challenges in getting state government and local governments approval for the project. Your signatures in the petition is going to be the thing that actually helps me fight the battle, because this is going to be a tough battle. This is not India, where if you want to build a temple, you just do it. Here you've got to almost justify and fall down at people's feet just to be able to get approval, which is crazy, but that's the way it is. Okay, but we have the tools, we have the skills, we have the backing of the right professionals to be able to make this happen. And and I'm hopeful we can deliver on this. And just last comment, look, I have thought about this, my involvement in this very deeply. I don't normally get involved in things and don't make promises to people unless I can deliver. For me, my word defines me, and if I make a promise, I'm going to deliver it. And the promise I'm making is that, look, I will try everything in my powers, all the resources we have, with the support of my wife, to deliver on the commitment to try and get approval. I believe I'm very determined. We have Lord Krishna with us. If we truly believe that Lord Krishna can do anything, He is the Supreme. If we truly believe that, then we believe no matter what the obstacles we face, no matter what the reasons people have we can't do it, we should be able to do this. So we have to have that conviction in Lord Krishna that He will guide us, He'll give us the intelligence, that we can deliver on this project. Thank you, and I hope you can support us, and I hope we can continue working with all the different people who are trying to do the same thing in different ways. Thank you. Hare Krishna.